You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gon' let it get to me. I'm just gon' creep down Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost feet. I know that it's here. I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head. I have no fear. It probably seems crazy. A graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me. He got nearer. Let it get to me. I'm just gon' creep down Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost feet. I know that it's here. I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head. I have no fear. It probably seems crazy.
Ayo, what's good? NasaTube here. Have you ever wanted to farm resources insanely quick that's more reliable and more effective than the usual farming frame picks like Necros, Hydroid, or Korra? Or do you want a potentially more mobile frame and are sick of sitting in choke points? For some reason this frame is never asked for in groups despite having the highest potential drop rate out of all of the farming frames. And the frame we're talking about today is of course Atlas. A humble frame who is more than capable of comfortably soloing Steel Path and even level cap. When paired with the right team comp, he can even get a drop rate of more than 200%. And as a bonus, he can also stack with Necros, further increasing the drops you can acquire. Today, I've got a build for you guys where you can have more than 100% drop chance even while playing solo, so let's take a look. Before we get into the loadout information, I have to touch on how Atlas is able to get a higher drop rate than the other farming frames. And much in the same vein as Hydroid and Korra, he has a augment for one of his abilities, and that's his third ability called Petrify, which normally just turns things to stone in a cone in front of you, and also increases their damage vulnerability by 50%. First of all, the augment is called Ore Gaze, and what it does is petrified enemies are scanned into the codex, and also have a 25% chance to drop additional loot when killed. And I know you're probably thinking 25% is a whole lot less than the other farming frames, but there was an interesting, little tidbit about this augment, and it scales with ability strength. So let's take a look at the build. We'll just quickly get into what I'll be using for the build. Obviously we're using Atlas. The primary and the melee, it's a flex pick. You can kind of use whatever you like. I'm just using the Ruvox because I like the way it looks. The Felox is just there for targets that I can't use Landslide Punch on. So just in case I need to deal damage to something that those enemies are immune to or don't affect, I've just got the Felox. And the Epitaph Prime I'm using as my primer. We're also using Naramon just so we don't have to worry about our combo running out on the Landslide Punch. Also with the companions, we're going to be running with a Smedikavat, and they have an ability called Charm which allows you to get more drops on chance. It depends on what buffs. We'll get into that later. And also another thing I need to go over is that we'll be using the Arbu set, and that is because of our Subsume, which again I'll get into a little bit soon. Here is our mod loadout for Atlas, and as I said before, we're just going completely into strength, as much strength as we possibly can. So that's Blind Rage, August Secrets, Transient Fortitude, Umbral Intensify, as well as Growing Power. And if you don't know how Growing Power works, on status effect with weapons, squad increases personal ability strength by 25% for 6 seconds. With the Epitaph Prime, that you can basically keep that up as long as you just fire at things before you charge at them. It's relatively easy and relatively quick. We're also getting a little bit range because range actually affects the AoE of the punch, and it also affects the Petrify range as well. So just making sure that we turn things into stone in a large radius, as well as, punching them and taking them all out at the same time. Outside of that, we're going to be running with Ore Gaze Augment, and also we are running with Equilibrium. And Equilibrium, I don't think is necessary, but your tempo does slow down considerably when you don't have this. I've tested both, and yeah, I just like to be able to constantly or gaze punch, just it keeps it going. I do have to talk about the subsume, which I kind of forgot to do, but we're running with Bright Bonnet, and it's for a very obvious reason. We need more ability strength, so this gives us an extra 75% ability strength. And then when you use when you shoot the Arbocep at these, they double in strength, so at 150. But this is at what my ability strength is for right now. But with Growing Power active and also with stacks of Malt augmented, we will be at basically an extra 200% on top of what we have. We're also running with Arcane Battery, just again, so it saves me having to put Primed Flow into my build. But also, Atlas gets a lot of armor through his, I guess, sort of passive. Whenever you kill enemies that have been turned to stone, they drop rubble, and when you pick up this rubble, it heals you as well as gives you some armor up to a cap of 1,500. So you end up with plenty of energy. So I do also have to mention that the Augur mods have a secondary use with this build. And if you don't know what the set bonus is, a percentage of your energy spent on ability is converted to shields. The more of these Augur mods that you have equipped, then the more percent it will be. So at the moment it's 120%. This is nice because there is sometimes downtime where you can't really kill stuff, but if you're able to cast anyway, then you're going to be shield gating the entire time. Another thing I did forget to mention, I should probably talk about how Landslide actually works. Basically, you do 3 punches in a combo if you keep pressing it, and each punch of this combo increases its effective radius. So first punch is 7 meters for me, then 10.5, then 14 meters. It also has its own melee combo multiplier that isn't tied to your melee at all. So the more punches you do, you can get up to basically a 12x multiplier, and instead of how normal melees work, where you have to use a heavy attack to get the benefit of that multiplier, the damage wise, the way Landslide works is it just gets that damage. So if you have a 12x multiplier, you're doing 12 times more damage with Landslide. So long story short, survivability is not an issue with this build at all. When it comes to the subsume, you can subsume it over your 4. 2 or 4 are your picks here, as you need the 1 and 3. 2, I just don't really care for the wall at all. It's not very useful. And at least with the Rumblers, if for whatever reason you need them to just, enemies not to just be attacking you constantly, well, there's a little bit of breathing room for you. With our Archon Shards, we will be running with 3 ability strength ones, so just an extra 45% ability strength, as well as 2 casting speed ones. And the reason why I'm running with 2 Tau-Forged Amber casting speeds is that his Petrify is very stiff to use when you don't have casting speed in there, and I felt like 37.5 just wasn't enough, so I ended up rolling with 2 to get 75% cast speed. But yeah, pretty simple. You can, if you want to, drop a casting speed for another 15%, but that's completely up to you. We're going to be skipping over the primary mod loadout since it's really not that important. But with the secondary, it's basically a standard priming setup where you're just putting up a lot of status chance as much as you can, as well as a bunch of different status effects that you would like to apply. I really like viral more than the others, so I've weighted it more towards viral. And we're also running with Augur Seeker because part of the Augur set is just a nice little extra bit of survivability. We're also running with Secondary and Combo just to trigger more status effects, because we are also running with Condition Overload on our Landslide Exalted Weapon. But just a quick recap of what the mods actually are. We're running with Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, which is multi-shot and dodge speed. You could just go with the other diffusion mods, but I just want a little bit of quality of life with the dodge speed. It just feels nice. Augur Secret, we've already spoken about. Lethal Torrent is just for more fire rate, more multi-shot, more chance to apply more different status effects. We're running with Radiation and Fire Rate for, again, more status effects, and Fire Rate helping apply more status effects more quickly. Prime Fulmination just increases the AoE of the shot, so we're just applying it into a larger radius. Frostbite, so the 60-60 mod, two 60-60 mods here. This is for the viral. And Magnetic Might. The critical damage, not important. Honestly, maybe not even magnetic, but it's nice to have. If you can get more statuses on them, the more damage you'll be doing. And now we can get into our Landslide Fist Exalted Weapon loadout. And what we're going for mostly is just damage, critical chance, and critical damage. So because we're going to be pretty much maintaining 12x at all times, Blood Rush is highly recommended. You'll just be red critting all over the place. Then we're going to be running with Prime Reach, because Prime Reach actually works with the Landslide AoE effect, so you end up with quite large AoEs on the punches. So I know you're not supposed to be running 2 melee damage mods like this, but I feel like when I've tested it, it just seems to be doing more than if I was to be running with, say, like a Fever Strike or something along those lines, like an elemental mod. So I've just got that here. Please get back to me on this one, because I'm not entirely sure what the best way to go around this is. But anyway, we've got critical damage here. We've also got critical damage as well as a 10% melee critical chance per combo multiplier. Just a nice little thing. Got Galvanized Steel, so more critical damage. Condition Overload, this is where the priming kind of comes into play and is a little bit more useful. And we're also running with Primed Heavy Trauma, which is just even more damage since this is only an impact damage weapon. And we're also running with Melee Exposure, and on what this does, on ability cast you gain 20% corrosive damage on melee strikes for 25 seconds, and it stacks up to 240%. Interesting thing about this maximum stacking, so up to 240%, does not go up with each level of this arcane. So you could literally run this arcane at level 1 and you will have this on all the time, unless you stop punching. But you know, the buff lasts for 25 seconds. I'm sure you're going to be doing a landslide once every 25 seconds at least, which then just equates to just an extra 240% corrosive damage on top of your, I guess, current damage. But again, I would like to stress, I feel like I've never done this before, putting Condition Overload on as well as Prime Pressure Point. But if you guys have any ideas, please get back to me on that one. And now we come to our Smita Kavat build, which is, honestly, it's just for one thing really, and that's going to be Charm. And what Charm does is, every 27 seconds you will have 40% chance to get a specific buff, and there are 6 buffs that you can get. The only buff we're really caring about with this is the rare resource buff, which what it does, the Smita creates one instance of the current system rare resources for its owner, and this can be things like Argon Crystal or Intrati Landthorns or Orokin Cells. So here's the thing about the Smita. You can run this if you want to get all of the items. This is just more of a theme type of decision. But if you do just want to have, like, say, a primer, it's probably better to just have a primer, because I feel like the buff itself is not that worth having. But if you do want to do that, just run with Diriga, you know, the old priming build, which I will just show. Arc Coil, Manifold Bond, and then you keep applying a bunch of status effects to a bunch of things, which makes your punches stronger. You punch things, which kill stuff, which reduces the cooldowns of Arc Coil again. Oh, and also having Coolant Link. But yeah, it's just the standard priming Sentinel build. Now we can get into how to actually play this build, and this is extremely simple. All it really amounts to is, you know, mission start, put down a Bright Bonnet, you know, throw a couple down so you're getting double the pulses at the same time. Once you're full mana, you're pretty much ready to roll. Just summon some enemies. It's pretty simple. And you just want to just, you know, turn everything to stone, punch. And as you can see, I'm already hitting for 1.5 million, even with basically no multiplier. And it's also killing pretty much everything around me. The more multiplier I will have, the more damage it does. And there's not really a whole lot to it, but there is one extra thing I do have to mention. So you want to pull out your Arch Gun, fire at this, and then now we have 152% on our ability strength. I'll just resummon some enemies. Yep, just turn them to stone, punch. Turn them to stone, punch. And as you can see, I'm already sitting at 1,500 armor, which gives me 800 energy. So I've just gone ahead and stacked my multi-augment to max, just so you can see what kind of buffs we're going to be rolling with here at the end. But there you go, 184% on the ability strength bonus. And we're hitting for 5 to 40 million damage. Very, very quickly, mind you. All of these enemies, they just get killed very quick, so it's hard to showcase exactly how much damage and how quickly you'll be doing it. But yeah, it's very simple, very easy, and you kind of just blow everything up, get a lot of loot. It's not really a whole lot to explain here. So when you have all of the buffs running, you've got multi-augmented, everything stacked up, you have these also running as well, you end up with approximately 150% drop chance. And so that's just Atlas alone. Just Atlas alone, he can get 150% drop chance. With the right team comp, he get even more. So if you had a Nidus that's tethering himself to you, that's even more ability strength being sent your way, so more drop chance. Have a Jade on the team, she also increases ability strength, so even more drop chance. You can also stack with Necros, so just more drop chance again. And then, you know, as the last member, you could have Nova if you wanted to. It's a really fun build, honestly. Really fun way to do farming, because I'm not exactly the biggest fan of standing in a room, especially if I'm the Nova. Oh, it's not very fun as a Nova. Just standing there spamming 4 basically. And Rest and Rage if you're running that, but that's a for another day. That's a build for another day. And unfortunately, because of how Petrify works, it doesn't work at all with Korra or Hydroid. Just thought I'd mention that. And that about wraps it up for this video. It's a little bit shorter than my other ones, but I feel like that's just because, you know, there's not as much to go over, and it's pretty simple. Atlas himself is pretty simple to play, so it's not exactly it's not rocket science or anything like that. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for my build, I would love to hear them, especially when it comes to the landslide, because I feel like I'm not doing the right thing with that. It feels wrong to put prime pressure point as well as condition overload, but yeah, please give me your suggestions. And I would also love to hear any setups when it comes to farming, even with other characters. I love hearing build ideas, and you know, maybe some of those ideas will become videos in the future. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you in any way, please like and subscribe because it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, GG's and have fun out there.